Hello.
Hello. So this year was the first year that either of us participated in any of the kind of more traditional St. Patrick's Day festivities here in Chicago. We took you along with us in that vlog, and today we're going to kind of tell you our thoughts, give you our thoughts on, will we do it again? What did we enjoy? And what are the things that you should know if you are wanting to come to Chicago to visit for St. Patrick's Day? All right, so we're going to start out by listing some of the things that we did, and then we'll kind of break them down and give you our thoughts. So what was it that we did?
Well, we kicked off the weekend eating at D4, one of our favorite restaurants in Streeterville.
Yep.
A little Irish pub.
We also had breakfast at the kitchen on the river, the day of the river dying.
And then we went and watched the river being dyed.
Which was really fun. And then we went to the St. Patrick's Day parade.
And then we went to lunch on actual St. Patrick's Day at one of our favorite restaurants as well.
We did. And then this is yet to happen as of recording this today, but we will also be participating tomorrow in the Shamrock Shuffle. So, all right, let's start with kind of the meals. What did we think about the meals? D4.
D4 is always good. I didn't have anything off of the Irish specific menu. Their burger.
You got a burger.
The D4 burger has a pretzel bun, and I just couldn't pass that up.
Yeah, and I did. I got the bangers and mash. And sadly, I left my leftovers on the table and didn't bring them home. I was so sad.
Yeah, we did eat the Reuben empanadas, which was kind of a cool take on, a Reuben. They were really good.
Yeah, they had like the corned beef and cabbage inside the kind of pastry shell, and then a Thousand Island dressing for dipping.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit more beef inside. They were kind of skint on that, but the breading was really delicious.
It was yummy. Yeah, and we also did get St. Patrick's Day drinks there as well.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what I ordered. I think I ordered 2 different ones, and they were both green, I believe.
I just got 2 Irish beers. I can't remember. I got Harp and the Smithwick's.
Yes, that's right. And then at the kitchen, so they actually do a specialty kind of breakfast event at the kitchen, and you can do it ranging from it starts at 8 a.m. in the morning, which is what we did, all the way kind of past lunchtime, and it's a special brunch menu with I believe it's bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. I think they also maybe had one other drink. I can't remember.
Green beer.
It was green beer. That's right. Green beer as well. I knew there's one more. And so you actually can sit there in the restaurant to actually watch the dying from the restaurant. I made reservations honestly too late and didn't get anything late enough for that. But, it kind of positioned us perfectly for the river dying, which was nice. But the way that they have that set up is it's a prefix menu. You kind of order different things from the menu. I think they had starters, maybe drinks, and then kind of main courses. And you can sit there and overlook the river and just enjoy the atmosphere.
And then for lunch on St. Patrick's Day, we went to Crushed by Giants, which is a brewery.
Not anything to do with St. Patrick's Day, really. It's not like an Irish pub or anything.
No.
We thought we'd avoid the crowds.
Yeah, we intentionally went on a non-Irish traditional pub just to try to avoid some of the crowds that we thought were going to be there, but apparently...
it wasn't as crowded on St. Patrick's Day as I expected.
Less crowded than we expected.
Yeah. But Crushed by Giants is a great place. We highly recommend it. It's in River North. It's in the same building as the AMC, so it's kind of a standing place for us when we go see a movie. It's like dinner and a movie, and we always go to Crushed by Giants. So it's a cute little, microbrewery, really.
Yeah, and if you like good beer, they have good beer. And I did get green beer there.
That's true.
They had one of their standing beers, but they put the green food coloring in it.
And that was nice, because then it wasn't just like Miller Lite.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't cheap beer.
Yeah. So all of the meals we had, kind of surrounding St. Patrick's Day were fantastic.
Yeah,
I enjoyed all of them. Yeah. So what about the actual river dying itself?
Oh, it was really cool to see it for the first time. Obviously, we've seen photos and videos of it. And
they don't do it justice. It is so cool. I've never... Have you seen it green before? No, you don't see pictures.
I don't think I've ever seen it green.
Yeah, I had never seen it green. And it was so wild.
We typically just try to avoid it because the crowds are kind of crazy, and it wasn't too bad. We did get a spot in the front of the crowd, so that would have been not as good if we were kind of in the back because
I feel like we had a really good view. Yeah. So you have a lot of, I feel like, trivia knowledge around the dying of the river.
I mean, not a lot. I mean, I just know that in 1962, a local plumbers union realized that the dye that they used to check for leaks was bright green, and they were like, hey, this would be a cool thing to capitalize on for St. Patrick's Day. we can kind of bring this, some kind of cool event to the city. And then ever since then, they've been doing it every year.
Yeah.
They actually have it's a vegetable-based dye, and the recipe is secret. There have been a few times where even huge companies have tried to buy it from them, and they're like, no. They've refused because it's
lock that down.
A lot. I've actually heard 2 people say it when we were watching the river getting dyed, that compared to other cities that do very similar things, that it was like
it's not the same color.
They were like, wow, this is nowhere near like wherever they sat. I can't remember. They were like, it's always dull and like, not as, this is like bright, vibrant green.
Like a highlighter color. It's so wild. Yeah, it was really cool. And you were saying too that they only use like 40 pounds of the dye, which is mind-blowing.
It's orange powder before it goes into the water, and then it reacts in that bright green.
Yeah.
And they only use, they said they only use like 40 pounds of it.
It's which is crazy to think, because the river is, it's not a massive river, but it's a good size, and they dye a huge portion of it, the whole main branch.
It's a mile and a half, I would say. What?
Crazy.
I think it's more than 100 feet.
I don't know.
Why? I don't know. I don't know really good.
Surprised you don't know that.
Well, it's 118 feet at its widest point.
I was gonna say, certainly like there's wider points for sure, but I thought that was wild that they only use 40 pounds, because it feels like it's got to be so much to make the whole river, but it just, I don't know, it was a really neat thing to witness. It was so cool. So I enjoyed that. And so what about what did we do after that? We went to the parade.
Yes, this is called the the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Yeah.
I thought that the beginning, the first group of people wearing kilts and playing bagpipes,
that was awesome.
Was the coolest part.
It was. And then after that, it was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, everything after that was kind of...
it was just like people in cars.
Or
and I didn't know who they were.
Like high school marching bands.
Oh, yeah. I actually liked that better than just the random people.
And then there were a bunch of like military groups and stuff.
There were like some ROTC kind of groups and stuff like that,
but
too.
Yeah, it was just like... There were 2 floats that we saw.
Yeah, and one float didn't even have people on it.
Yeah, they weren't
it was
really
like empty. Floats. Yeah.
It was.
It's also really short. It only stretched like 3 or 4 blocks. It was really short.
It's like 4 blocks.
Yeah.
I think.
So, but crowds-wise, it was packed. I feel like it was more crowded at the parade than it was at the river.
It was definitely more crazy. It
felt that way to me
think
anyway.
That maybe because it was a little bit later in the afternoon and people had been drinking for 4 hours.
That's probably true.
Because when we were walking to the kitchen, I saw people coming out of like a 7-Eleven with like 6 packs of beer, and we're like...
And this was like 7:30 in the morning.
Cracking them open and start drinking, and it's like, man, they're like they're
ready to party.
They're down to party.
That explains why the next day was so quiet. All right, so I guess that brings us really to our next event, which again, as of recording this, is tomorrow, and that is the Shamrock Shuffle.
Yeah.
So
you excited for it?
I am excited. Yeah. I have had serious FOMO. In previous years for the Shamrock Shuffle. And so I'm really excited to do it. And I'll tell you why, because I have been wanting this beanie.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing.
Yeah, I chose not to run this year. Maybe this year I'm not going to run as many races as last year. Mm-hmm. But
I think I'm probably going to run the same amount. But different ones, because I did run this
at
one
least
last
I'll
year.
be able to I'll film you, and then
That's right.
I won't have to worry about trying to film you after I had already ran or something.
Yeah. So the Shamrock Shuffle we actually just found out today, they have a 1 mile run, a 2 mile walk, and then an 8K or 5 mile run. We're doing the 8K, so it's me and my mom and my dad are doing it as well. But today was the 1 mile run. So when we went out to get our packets with our hat, shirt, etc., we saw the 1 mile happening. So that was kind of cool. It was neat to see. So I'm super excited to run in that race.
So... Overall thoughts on St. Patrick's Day?
So overall, I had a great time. I thought it was really fun. I was pleasantly surprised that it was not the chaotic, wild insanity that I expected. I kind of went in prepared. I was like, okay, it's gonna be really crowded. People are gonna be super wild. It's just gonna be nuts, right?
It may have gotten more wild,
that's
in
fair.
The evening.
We kind of shut down after the parade. That's true, and we didn't do any pub crawls or anything like that. So. That's fair. It could have gotten more wild as time went on. We were in the safety of our own home at that point. Just kind of the quiet zenness of our house. But yeah, I thought it was great. What about
you? I was surprised. I went in with sort of a negative attitude for sure, thinking that it was going to be wild, crazy, drunk people, and there was a little bit of that, but it wasn't as bad as I thought. Like the dining was super chill.
Yeah,
lots of families.
A lot of kids at the river
you would
dining,
think that as a
especially.
kid you're going to find that the river dining is
Really
fun and interesting. But yeah, other than the slight pressure of the crowd at the river dining, it was kind of a fun experience. I kind of wish we would have like participated in more like stuff. Like maybe went to more restaurants that had Irish themed.
Yeah, I think I was afraid
food.
of kind of trying to do restaurants like too much on the weekend because I thought, it's gonna be packed. Like, and I think like so many different restaurants participate that I kind of am curious to do that maybe again and see if it's actually that bad.
And you don't have to drink too. It's like a lot of people think
course.
that it's like a drinking fest, but we had a couple of drinks with breakfast because it was bottomless.
Because they had the green mimosas.
You couldn't
and it was really fun.
pass it up, but it wasn't like you could just have fun and enjoy the weekend
for sure.
without.
There was tons to do that wasn't just like a pub crawl or drinking green beer. Definitely.
I think next
really
year
fun.
we want to.
Yeah, but that was the next question: is will we do it again?
Oh yeah,
and I think
we will. I think it's fun. I think that the seeing the dye and like it's so green that you have to see it in person.
It really is crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely. We would like to go maybe where they have some of the bigger barges that are spraying out the dye. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, because they do the dye from kind of like the mouth of the river, up like Lakeshore Drive in Michigan, all the way back to where we were, which was kind of like at like Clark and LaSalle, and we. So we kind of saw like the smaller boats spreading it, and if you're up toward kind of the mouth of the river, you get more of like the big barges spreading the dye. So I think seeing it from a different perspective would be really cool.
Yeah.
So wanted to give some things to kind of consider for anyone who's wanting to come here to visit for St. Patrick's Day. So some things that you might want to think about. So related to the river dining specifically, I think just know it is busy. So you definitely want, but I didn't think it was as bad as I expected. But you definitely want to be prepared to be there early.
Yeah.
Make sure that you get there early.
Or be prepared to push through the crowds because right before the dives started happening, I had to use the restroom, so I had to leave our nice spot, go down several blocks. But then coming back, it was kind of I felt bad because I was pushing.
Because it seemed like you were like cutting in line, but really we'd been there the whole time.
You had to really push through the crowds. It was a lot, but it wasn't as bad as I expected.
Yeah, I would say that we waited for probably 45 minutes to an hour before the actual dyeing happened, and that was, I would say, perfect timing. I would get there at least an hour early. I would say it that way, and then you'll secure a really good spot to be able to get a good view for sure. So also another thing, in addition to getting there early, is you want to think about kind of where you want to be. So I mentioned we were kind of at the very tail end, sort of where they were dyeing. So we saw the smaller boats going around. If you wanted to see the larger kind of barge type boats, you'd need to be a little bit closer to more like the Michigan Avenue area. So that is something to consider. It's kind of what perspective you have. It does vary obviously on where you are along the river.
That also will affect the crowds too. More
That's
people are going to
true.
be closer to Michigan.
That's very true. I think we probably had fewer crowds where we were, and we went there because we had done breakfast at the kitchen. So it was just really easy for us to leave breakfast, go take our place, and just sort of wait for the river dyeing, which was nice.
You can also consider one of the experiences that they offer. There's architecture cruises that are on the river during the dyeing. There's some rooftop bars and just obviously like the kitchen. There's restaurants that you can eat at so that you can have a really nice view of the dyeing as it's happening in the river.
Like I mentioned, the kitchen had later reservations. So you could have actually gotten a reservation right at the timing of the dyeing of the river. And those were just, I don't think I mentioned it, but like a prefix cost. So we paid like just an amount, and that covered our meal and our drinks. And that's the way most of the restaurants do that. And same thing, of course, with the cruises.
And it wasn't too bad either.
No, I think the kitchen was the most affordable option, in fact. There were other restaurants that were pretty expensive. And the architecture cruises were a little more. I think they varied in cost, but they had different things that they included. But most of them did include a meal and drinks. So that was nice. So what about the parade? What would you recommend for people if they want to see the parade?
You can get there early too.
Same thing.
I mean, it wasn't as crowded at the front lines, I guess is what you would say.
That's true. Yeah. I think people kind of were more just gathered around. They weren't like waiting up at the, like at the whatever kind of gates or whatever for the parade.
Yeah. And then if you do want to watch it from a specific angle too, you might have to get there early because they close off almost all of Columbus there. Mm-hmm. So if you have to They did let a couple people across, but like probably 20 minutes beforehand, they weren't letting people across.
Yeah, and I think we probably got to that about 40 minutes early. It wasn't even a full hour, and that was plenty. We had a good spot. We were able to see pretty well, and they also, again, kind of sort of based on experiences. There's grandstands, so you can actually purchase tickets to see it that way if you want to do it that way. So in general, tips for visitors. I did want to just point out there are other things to do that we didn't do. We obviously didn't do it all. We didn't do any pub crawls, clearly. They have scavenger hunts. Yeah. I'd like us to try that in the future.
That would be cool. Yeah. Definitely would like to try like the river cruise I
think it'd be fun to do the river
that'd be
cruise.
Kind of fun. Like,
yeah, that would be really fun. And then
we also saw a couple people that were kayaking during the river dying. Like that. I'm almost positive it was all personal kayaks.
I think so.
None of the companies that rent kayaks were offering anything, but that would be really cool.
I think that would be really cool. Yeah, that would be really neat. And then lastly, I was also going to recommend that, seeing the river dying is amazing and actually being there for the dying. But the river walk is closed the day of the river dying. So you actually can't get down like kind of at river level to see it. You're only seeing it from above, from the bridges or from like Wacker. So I would recommend going the next day and seeing it at the river.
Yeah, level. And it was as bright as it was the day that we watched, or the dying is the next day after too. So
yes, it was so fun. Like I went running the next morning and ran on the river walk, and it was a horrible run because I just kept stopping.
I think that
to take pictures. It was so cool.
I think that would probably be a better way to view it, because I actually heard 2 people say when we were watching the dying, they were like, "Is that it?" And like, I mean, yeah, it's just they're putting dye in the river and it turns green, and like I guess it's like
it's pretty quick, I guess. So I can see them being like, "Oh man, we waited all this time for like it doesn't 15 minutes. It doesn't take very long."
Like when you're up on the Wacker, like it's kind of hard to take photos of yourself with the river behind you, but like once you're on the river walk, it's like really easy. Yeah,
so definitely recommend going the day after for sure. So thank you so much for watching this video. We hope it was helpful for anyone who may be planning a trip to visit Chicago during St. Patrick's Day. And actually, if you've been here before for St. Patrick's Day, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let us know what you thought. What are the things that you did that maybe we should try next year?
And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Chicago content.